Hello, I'm Wendy, and I'm here with Dale Kingsley, licensed marriage and family therapist. Dale is the founder and owner of Trinity Therapeutic Care, located in Groton, Connecticut. I'm a longtime friend of Dale's also, so I asked her if she would tell us a little bit about psychotherapy. So Dale, why did you become a psychotherapist?
Because I wanted to help people. And it started with wanting to come alongside people that are adolescents for drug and alcohol rehab, just because adolescence is an extremely hard time of life and trying to figure things out. And I just wanted to give that population a safe place to talk. So at 37 years of age, I decided to go to college to pursue that, to be a drug and alcohol rehab counselor. And throughout my time, it took 10 years total of going to college, but throughout my time I decided to switch to become a marriage and family therapist because while I'd still be able to treat that population for drug and alcohol, it would also allow me to do many more things and do a lot of things with marriages and families that also get affected by addictions.
Why do people go to therapy? And have you been to therapy yourself?
So people come for all different reasons. A lot of times it's because of diagnoses that they've been given, whether it be anxiety or depression, borderline personality disorder, PTSD, and the psychiatrist that's providing medication for them wants them to also go to talk therapy. Or they come in because there's some life transitions, deaths, weddings, divorces, teenagers, things like that. New babies. They also come in because life isn't working for them and they have to try to figure out why that is and what they can do about it. But in my view, there's three different types of people that come to therapy. There's people that are mandated, either a judge tells them to, their spouse tells them to, their parents tell them to, or they're a visitor. They're just here because they know it worked for a friend of theirs and they just want to come in and check it out. And then there's the client, and the client is somebody that actually wants to change something in their life. Oftentimes people come in thinking that somebody else in their life has to change in order for their life to be better. But what they find working with me is that it's what they bring to the table. Believe me, I have people that start out as mandated and they don't want to do anything, and say the judge tells them they have to be here for 10 sessions.
Right.
So I let them know if they're going to, for 10 hours, they're going to be in my life and I'm going to be in theirs. So we can either sit in silence,
right,
or we can talk about anything. It doesn't have to be, they're here because of DWI. It doesn't have to focus on their drinking.
right.
That will come out when we talk about what they liked about their third grade teacher. You know what I mean? Like, just the stories just come out and healing takes place. Have I ever been to therapy? Yes, actually. I was married for 27 years, and throughout that time we had gone to various marriage and family therapists. While I was going for my master's to become a therapist myself, they had strongly suggested that we go to therapy so that we can see what it's like on the other side and maybe to pick up different interventions that psychotherapist might use that we can incorporate in our own therapy sessions. So I did. I went to see, and shout out to Jonathan Schreiber in Mansfield, Connecticut. He's amazing. He's a licensed marriage and family therapist, just like I am. And I went to go see him for individual therapy. And I went in the room, wanting to complain about my then husband and everything else going on in my life. And I walked out of his room 3 years later and realized the reason that I was there was to see who I was. Not as the wife, not as the daughter, not as the mother. There's a sentence that I say to my clients a lot, and it's, you have to be affected to be effective. And totally, I was affected in therapy, totally.
So what type of therapy does Trinity offer, and what would you say the age group is that makes up the majority of your practice?
It's all client-centered and it's all solution-focused. I come alongside the client. I don't lead them.
Okay.
So I just happen to use whatever feels natural at the time. But among the therapies there's something called narrative therapy. And narrative therapy is just where your personal experience becomes your personal story. So that's where people's belief systems come in, and how they view the world, their perspectives, things like that. Cognitive behavioral therapy, where your thoughts determine your behavior. And if you're going to fear something in your head, your behavior is going to act as though you're afraid of it, and then that's going to cause feelings to occur, feelings of anxiety, feelings of, your heart's going to start pounding fast. But if you have a feeling that something's going to be beautiful, and your body is going to start responding to that in a relaxed manner. Solution-focused therapy. While I do look at the problem, I'm not a problem-focused therapist. There are people out there that practice therapy where they just strictly look at the problem and where the problem came from and what the root of the problem is. I look at that, I acknowledge that, obviously, but then I have the client look at the solutions for it and utilizing whatever solutions are good for them. I don't do cookie cutter therapy. And positive psychology, using the person's strengths so that they can have positive emotions. So I work with the client's personal strengths so that they can achieve the goals that they've set, not my goals, their goals. As a family therapist, I obviously look at the family, the generations that went before, and what things might have been passed down, healthy and unhealthy, that people use in their daily lives and how that affects their daily life.
Okay.
The population that I serve now, mostly, the majority of it, is women probably between the ages of 28 and 45, I'm going to say, that are going through different phases of life. My youngest was 6-year-old. My oldest was 83.
What do you think makes Trinity unique to other therapy practices?
There's just the vibe in this place is about healing and about health and about hope. Even my offices aren't known as Office 1, 2, and 3. It's known as Faith, Hope, and Love. So everything, wherever you turn, whatever your eyes happen to set sight on, whatever you happen to hear when you're here, it all goes back to that same philosophy that we're never intended to walk alone. And this is a place where you're guided to your perfect balance, and anybody has the opportunity to rewrite the story of their lives. A lot of people come in and think that they don't have hope, that whatever it is hopeless, their marriage, whatever. And I let them know that they do have hope, and I can prove it because they're sitting on the couch right now. If they weren't sitting on the couch, if they never walked through this door, they might be right, but they walked through the door, and that's hope. But I tell them that I'll be their hope holder until they can hold it. Because I practice positive psychology, clients and their families leave here filled with hope, filled with strength, and empowerment. There's a lot of prayer that happens at Trinity. A lot of prayer. I pray for all my clients, whether they be believers or not. I pray for all of them. I pray sometimes in session if the client wants that. I never force my beliefs on anybody. And I always assign homework. And the homework, again, is based on their strengths. The client has to actually practice what they've learned and strengthen their skills outside of here. So, for me to just say, you should be active, and them to say, yeah, I should, and leave it at that, that's not doing anything. They need to then go do that away from me. I see people at least once a week. And then eventually, again, it's client-centered. So once the client feels ready, we go to once every 2 weeks. And then once the client feels ready, we go to once a month. And we hold that for 2 months maybe. And then the client just goes off the books, but I don't close their file until 3 months later. And, because I'm all in the business, get myself out of business, like to let them spread their wings and fly. Because I don't have to live their life with them. The reason why it's Trinity is mind, body, and spirit. And that's because the focus is on the person as a whole. And while I can't do all things, I definitely have resources that I can give people. So while I want people to attend to their physical well-being, whether that look like activity or going and getting a massage or whatever that is, I'm not the masseuse and I'm not the personal trainer. But I can totally refer them to people that are.
What resources do you frequently offer?
So there's particular resources that I recommend. regarding physical health and energy work, things like that. Renaissance Health and Fitness is one. David Suswick is the owner and founder of Renaissance Health and Fitness, and he's out of Rhode Island, but he comes to Connecticut, and he'll meet people wherever they're at, whether it be at their home or the gym or wherever. He's a personal trainer. He also does health counseling. And then intuitive readings, I recommend people to you for intuitive readings, and they're very satisfied with that. And community therapeutics, which used to be known as Health 180, I believe you can find them under both, but they're located in New London, and they're a holistic practice, and I recommend a lot of people go there because they do something called craniosacral therapy, among other modalities of treatment that are holistic. Craniosacral therapy has helped a lot of clients that I've referred there, and that's something everybody should look into to know more about and then make an appointment. It's amazing the results that people get from that. There's nothing that I recommend that I haven't tried myself. And whether or not it's worked for me, I know that it's worked for other people. So just because it wasn't a part of my journey doesn't mean it's not part of somebody else's. But reconnective healing, I've had that. Craniosacral therapy, I've had that. Sound therapy, I've had. Reiki, I've had. Massages. And then I offer a lot of books to various clients. And there's 3 books that I recommend more frequently than any other book. All of these books they can do at home. They it gives different activities for them to do, so they are really seeking within themselves or within their relationships. And one of them is called Codependent No More. That's written by a woman named Melody Beattie. And she does a book and a workbook, and there's lots of success that comes from that. There's also, for people that are empaths, and I have a lot of people that come to me that are empaths, because they feel things so deeply, they come in with a lot of anxiety and sadness. But anyway, an empath survival guide, that's written by a woman named Judith Orloff. Again, it speaks volumes, and it talks a lot about boundaries and how to create them, and how not to be apologetic for having to have boundaries. And also for marriages, or any relationship really, any couple, it's called The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. And it's written by a gentleman named John Gottman. And that was one of the, this whole book was one of my classes in my master's program for marriage and family therapy. And it's great. I recommend it to a lot of couples. And there's all different activities to do in it, fun things. Not everything is really intense, but it gets people to remember what they have for fondness and admiration for one another, and start focusing on what the strengths that they have, catching each other to do things right, and not just being problem focused. You have to have that strength so you can look at the problem and be able to work through the problem and not be consumed by the problem. So those are 3 books: Codependent No More, Melody Beattie, An Empath Survival Guide by Judith Orloff, MD, and The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman.
So Dale, are you the only therapist here at Trinity?
I'm the only licensed therapist here at Trinity. I do have interns from Southern Connecticut State University. They come to Trinity and they get to learn the ins and outs of therapy. It's not just their individual sessions, but what goes on behind the scenes. You know, I had a therapist that did that for me. I was an intern under someone named Jonathan Dean, who's amazing. He's out of East Lyme, Niantic area. Yukon Avery Point is located right up the road from Trinity. So if some college students want to come and talk to somebody that's not as seasoned as I am, that's younger than me.
More their age group.
These interns have that to offer.
What do you do for self-care?
Number 1, I learned this from my mom. My mother used to get her hair done every Thursday, washed and set. And so I do that. Every Friday, I go and get my hair done. And so I get pampered.
Yeah.
I definitely take advantage of massages. I'm very blessed to live where I live. I live on the ocean, basically. I'm a street away from it. But just the presence of the ocean, the smell of the salt air, you know, hearing the waves, things like that, just knowing that that's around me, definitely soothes my soul. Prayer is huge, and anybody that knows me knows music is extremely important to me. So just to have music around, because music just heals a lot of things.
Right. So how do you not absorb the emotions and the energies that your clients are feeling and bringing to you for help?
It does have an impact. To say that it doesn't have an impact is to
Right.
lie, but I
Right.
have to be aware that the impact is there and then handle myself accordingly. I have to always be objective. I have to stand outside of whatever the situation is and see it from here. And I let the client know that, because as I give perspectives, I'll say, this isn't a judgment that I'm about to say.
Right.
I'm about to tell you what I'm observing and
Right.
things. So I have to, for their benefit and for my own benefit, I have to stay at a observation.
Exactly.
If the client's feeling like they're being tossed around by the waves, I can have one foot in the ocean with them, but I have to have one foot on shore. By doing so, I don't go home drained,
Yeah.
because the conversations that I have with people while I'm in the water with them and also on shore, it's filled with hope. The conversations are filled with hope. I walk out of here feeling uplifted and positive. But believe me, I'm a therapist that cries with my clients and things. I mean, when you're having heart-to-heart discussions and people are coming to realizations of themselves, and it's extremely difficult to go to therapy. It's not, a lot of people used to think that therapy was for the weak. I was even one of them that thought that. I didn't like therapy in the beginning. I thought it was for the weak. It's not. You have to be strong to look at yourself, to take ownership for your actions,
Right.
and to do the hard thing of change. You have to be a strong person, and my
Right.
clients are.
And how do you handle, obviously living your own life, you have your own crisis or your emotions. How do you handle coming to work and putting them aside in order to do your therapy?
Well, as clients are talking, actually, there's a lot of things that they say that either I've already gone through in my life or I had just recently gone through in my life. So it's very interesting how, when people come into my life. Because when people come in as clients, not only am I in their life for that time, they're also in my life for that time.
That's true.
So it's just very interesting how that happens. But I listen to their stories, and I have to just remind myself that it is their story. It's their life journey. It may kind of look similar to my life, but it's not my life. And their goals may be totally different from what mine would be if I were in those situations.
How has COVID affected your clients and you as a small business owner?
I'm really proud of my clients. They have handled this exceptionally well, and I tell them that. But they've been forced to see reality, the reality of their relationships. They aren't spending more time at work. They're all at home and having to function as a family unit again. So they're starting to see, where their strengths are and maybe where their limitations are. But they've also, in this, been given greater opportunities to use their coping skills. The discussions that we've had, the conversations that we've had in therapy have slightly changed because of that. As far as the small business goes, I'm noticing that I'm getting a lot more calls these past few weeks for couple counseling. And these past few days, calls that have to do with addictions, people that are struggling and battling all sorts of unhealthy coping skills that they've been turning to throughout these past few months. Right now, because of COVID, the insurance carriers are allowing telemedicine to be done, and some are allowing phone sessions to be done, and that all depends on their insurance carrier.
Right.
And when they come in, they wear masks. I wear masks if they want. I'm good with whatever.
Right. So, Dale, what are your hours of operations here at Trinity, and what type of appointments do you offer?
Monday through Thursday right now, I start at 7 a.m. Sometimes I end at 6 p.m. The types of services that I offer, sessions can be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. I always offer 60-minute sessions. Currently, I'd say probably 75% of my clientele want to meet in person, but there's still, the other 25% that don't. I'm fine with whatever the client wants.
Right. I want to thank you for all the wonderful information that you've given us today regarding psychotherapy. What do you want people to take away from this video today?
I want them to know that Trinity Therapeutic Care has the philosophy of 3 things. Number 1, we were never intended to walk alone. There's always somebody that you can talk to. Number 2, that at Trinity, we guide you to your perfect balance, not ours. Everyone has their own perfect balance, and that's what we're here for, is to help you get there. And number 3, don't ever feel that you're just stuck. You can always rewrite the story of your life. You're the author of it. You hold the pen. So come in and we'll help you get that novel going.
Give Dale a call. The number's listed below. And we would like to thank you all for listening, and we wish you health and happiness.
Peace and love.